Actually, I think that'll be like I think website and then getting new clients. I just have like two questions for each of those, and then like building the
Okay.
team. I have like quite a few.
Okay, cool.
So it'll
And
have
you're
to
an
be
agency?
what's that, sorry?
And you're an agency?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
agency with one team member.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So quick bang questions for the website is just really curious. What platform did you build your site on?
Webflow.
Webflow. Oh, no way. Okay.
Yeah, Webflow is
Okay.
really good because you have unlimited coding opportunities. You can come up with anything you can dream of, like it's capable. There's a lot of ways that you can design it, and it's very hard for other individuals to just come and rip off your site. Or if there's a tool or a feature you want, you can implement it through Webflow without having to worry about it being a plugin or slowing down your site at all. In addition to
Gotcha.
that,
Perfect.
they have all these trainings and stuff you can access as well to make it a lot simpler for you.
Perfect.
And it's
Sold.
super
I'm down for
affordable.
it. Sounds too good. Perfect. And then another question I had too was, did you hire any designers or coders for the site, or
No.
you just kind of?
Yeah,
Oh,
no. We
no. Okay.
we design our stuff ourselves, but it's evolved
Gotcha.
over, years.
Gotcha. Sweet. And then moving over to like getting new clients. What I'm curious is like, what methods do you use to get clients? Because right now I only have cold email. And then I'm kind of thinking as I scale out to get it more team members, I don't really want to rely on one method, you know what I mean? And I was curious, what are like the percentages? Like, for example, is it like 50% from cold email, 50% from like content marketing, as an example?
Yeah. It's tough to break it up in percentages because each touch point ends up, having an effect on like the actual results.
Oh, gotcha.
Uh, but specifically there, like with if you're looking to acquire agency clients, one is you can have a actual like Facebook group, uh, or whatever your services are. I don't know exactly what you offer, but
Oh, I offer
whatever.
Facebook and Instagram ads right now. Paid
Okay.
traffic, basically. Yeah.
Yeah. So you could have a group revolved around that, or what you could do is end up just posting like actual valuable content online, uh, pretty consistently. Another thing is sharing case studies via email and so forth, and like really like pushing that because like a lot of times, clients are going to be focused on the actual results aspect of it.
Yeah.
Another thing is running paid ads for yourself. There's multiple flows, but like single-handedly, probably like one of the ones that drive a lot of the results is going to be actively joining other Facebook groups, and then like in the early days DMing and like connecting and giving value to individuals, because that's what's going to allow them to see the value in you. I would even consider joining Clubhouse app if you haven't done that. I mean, that is probably by far the number one source of clients that you can end up getting all of your clients from right now.
No way. Interesting. For e-commerce, eh?
Oh yeah.
Wow. Okay. So interesting. So for the content marketing, I've tried it before. I created two really valuable posts in some Facebook groups. And two of them really took off. They had like 150 likes and like 40 comments or something like that. But then I just got like a couple of random DMs, like three or something, and they were just like not qualified leads at all. So I kind of just gave up on it
On
for
what?
now. On oh, the on Facebook groups, I made like a
Yeah.
valuable case study post,
Just
and
do just do Clubhouse instead. Are you on Clubhouse?
no, I'm not.
Okay. Well, Clubhouse, you would very easily be able to make a room, what is called a room, and like
Yeah.
you just title it a topic that you want to talk about, like e-commerce for beginners or e-commerce, um, Facebook ads for e-commerce, and literally you could pre-populate a room with like 200 people who have e-commerce stores ready to listen in on what you have to say,
No way.
and they just ask
Wow. So that's
questions, and
like,
like you don't even understand, like people are like pulling 40 to 100K like right away a month just from doing things like this.
Jesus Christ, that's crazy. Another question I had too is I saw on your LinkedIn that you've like worked with like Fortune 100 companies. I was curious, like, how did you like land clients that size?
Yeah, if you do a search online for that, there's an article that breaks down how we did that. It's through partnering with other agencies, because I don't know anybody who works at, Walmart, Coca-Cola, and all these big brands. But these these big brands work with agencies already, and a lot of times the relationships are solidified, and these agencies have been working with them 5, 10, 20 years, the firms and everything that they're with, right? And like to get
Wow.
to them is, it would take the average agency, maybe, I don't want to put it out too far, but I mean, honestly, like 5, 10 years just to consider having a
What?
conversation, just to have the credibility
Wow.
for them to buy you. But if you partner with another agency who's already working with them, they'll get you in the door because you can work on a project with them, and that develops. Like we started one project with a large brand, and it ended up turning into multiple avenues through that business. And it's our longest, those are our longest clients because they don't leave. Once they're in, and they've gone through 4 position shifts, and I've been there like longer on the marketing side than like some of the people who've been working in like those positions there. And so
Right.
like they really value, that standpoint, because those companies are required to sign uh, what are called like yearly contracts, and they do QBRs, which are like quarterly biz reviews. And these
Yeah.
companies will have to have contracts in place for years because they don't want to have to worry about like, all of a sudden one of their business vendors just dropping off out of nowhere. And even in cases, they'll literally ask for like bank financials to prove that your business is has liquid cash available in case anything like shit hits the fan, because they don't want to have you as like the core agency and then you not be able to deliver on something, or something happens, and like
Wow.
they want to know that your agency is going to be able to survive. So some of these really large Fortune 100 companies will actually vet every single one of the people at the company. They'll ask for finances. They'll go through this crazy process just to get you in the door. And it has nothing correlated
Wow.
with your services. It doesn't matter if you're like a genie. They want to make sure it's like a stronghold, and like that thing is going to be bunker tight. So that way
Wow.
you can survive the fluctuations, because those big businesses, you know, there'll be waves in like the economy, but like, at the end of the day, most of these corporations have those reserves. They don't need their vendors falling off out of nowhere.
Right. Wow,
So the
that's
quickest way to do it
crazy.
is go through partners. And
Crazy.
nobody
So how do
thinks
you
about
meet
those
these
things.
partners?
They'll like
Yeah,
email them
nobody
and
does.
shit, and nobody answers.
Wow. That's crazy. So how do you meet this partner, for an example? Do you meet them at an event or something like that?
Yeah, I mean, you can meet them at an event. You can meet them through somebody you know. Like if you have friends and family that work at other agencies, if you have somebody that works at a law firm that literally works, that works with one of these large businesses. I mean, it could be multiple different directions: an accounting firm, a law firm. Like you can do partner with like companies that complement your services, whether it's a creative agency or it's a email marketing agency. You could literally partner with Klaviyo, and they could introduce you and stuff like that. Like there's stuff all over the place where you can have these
Holy
partnerships
cow.
and fit into the equation.
Then how do you like pitch them to be to get a partnership with them? Like say for instance you wanted to partner with another creative agency that you don't really know them that well. You've maybe met them once or something. Like how do you
Results you have to show them. You have to be willing to work on a project for them, maybe improve. A lot of times they'll even be questionable about the relationship. The pricing has to make sense. They have to make money off of it. Like the agencies that, like the companies we partner with, they'll be, taking a slice off the top of every single deal just because, at the end of the day, it's them who got us in the door.
Right,
So
interesting.
just
But
them
it's
for
so
literally
worth it though.
brokering the one time, these people make insane amount of money off of it without ever doing anything.
So it's so worth it for them.
Yeah,
As
it's still
long
worth
as
it because
they
it's
trust you.
these companies will give you so much business, it's unreal. The amount of business these people give is incredible.
Wow.
They'll literally just pour so much like work your way that it's like you could literally fill multiple full-time positions and staff up an agency off of one of these clients, and the work never stops. They have so damn much of it.
Wow.
So
That
you're
is
constantly having
crazy.
to bring on people, and they're like, hey, we need you to staff on this project. We're thinking, however many people you think for the project, here's the budget. And you'll literally have to, end up finding 4 people for them, for your team.
Wow, that's the dream. That's what you want to
Yeah.
get to
And
eventually.
and there's cases where like BBDO will like, or like, one of these companies will lose a client, like, Maserati, and literally fire 200 people the same day at their agency.
Wow.
It's that fucking crazy. I
Wow.
remember
That is
like
nuts.
360i had Mario,
Yeah.
like that little game. They
Yeah.
left and they had to get rid of 80 freaking staff members the same day because like that's the only thing. All of
Wow.
those people were dedicated to the game development. And
Wow.
like
That is crazy.
they'll just end a relationship, if it's going bad after, however long their contracts are, and then boom, all those people are out.
That is so heartbreaking to have to let people go like that. And you
Yeah.
have to too, because
It's those cases, yeah.
that's
Because it's so
scary.
much work that usually it's like, some people will be like that's their only role.
Wow. Crazy. Yeah, next up on the agenda I had to for like building the team. So I was just going to quickly kind of explain my situation right now. So basically, I just have one team member. He's been with me for 4 months. He just comes to my apartment like 5 days a week and then just kind of helps me out with the ad accounts. He's like a media buyer, basically. Well, junior media buyer. I basically hired him. He had like no experience. That's what I kind of wanted to do and just kind of pay less and then just train. That's what I kind of went to. That was the thinking behind it. Um, and then basically I'm going to be moving over back east. Right now I'm from in Vancouver, Canada, and then I'm going to be moving over to Toronto for like a year just to kind of mix it up. I have like an online business right now. I don't have a team. It's like the one time that I can actually do it. And then I want to come back and then basically get to my agency to a spot where I'm at like 10, 15 employees, kind of like where you're at right now, over the next like few years. I'd love to do that. But basically my problem right now is that like kind of all client communication and management of the ad accounts, I have like 8 clients right now, like goes through me. And I don't really want to just hand off the communication ad accounts to someone who isn't like an absolute master at like Facebook ads yet. So I was kind of
Uh,
wondering like your thoughts
Wait,
on
what do you
this.
mean hand over the communication to somebody who's not a master of Facebook ads?
So basically like right now we're on like communication with the clients.
Yeah. Okay. So there's something that like in the agency world, you can have what are called pods, and it's essentially like two peas in a pod. All right. It's an account coordinator, which is somebody who speaks with the client directly, and then you have a media buyer, which is somebody who works on the account directly. Okay. The account coordinator does all the communication, handles all the emails, handles all the back and forth, essentially the middle person between the client and the media buyer. What you'll find is most media buyers are quite introverted. A lot
Yeah.
of them aren't super sporadic or high energy. And if they are, they're probably just an entrepreneur that's going to leave at some point. Um,
Right.
and so
Right.
most of the time when you bring on a media buyer, the account coordinator will be the one that is like super client facing, and has that really, high energy. That's like super, charismatic, very easy to talk to, super cool, can hold a conversation, keep the client happy, answer any questions. But all of the granular, like tactical stuff, the account coordinator will just refer to the media buyer, and the media buyer will answer those questions. But it won't necessarily be the one sending the email. They'll just coordinate with the account coordinator. And eventually the coordinator will learn all of those tactical things and then respond automatically. But if you make an
Gotcha.
account coordinator the one that knows absolutely everything about the Facebook ads,
That's problematic.
yeah. I mean,
That's
it's not
problematic.
really going to do. I mean, over time that'll become the case, but it would be pretty rare for you to find somebody who knows everything and then like has never done it. That's a scary point because
Interesting.
then they're going to be talking to the client about shit that probably isn't even like actually available in the ad account, or might not correlate accurately.
Gotcha. Okay, so interesting. Okay, so that kind of brings me to my next question. This is like the biggest kind of question I have for you that I'm just like, how do you go about this? So how did you go about like building your team from like you starting to like where you're at right now? Like what order did you hire each person? Like how many clients do you have each step of the way to know that your profit margins are there? And if like you're okay with sharing, like how much roughly was like the agency making at each hire to like know that you have enough profit to like,
Yeah.
bring on new people?
It's quite a complicated process. How you have to go about navigating. One, you have to there's a lot of risk involved at a lot of different stages. So one, you have to be
Right.
comfortable with taking a risk, because not
Right.
always is it going to make sense. Because like if you have 8 clients right now, I don't know what you're charging. Like to hire
Right
somebody
now
full
on
time.
I can tell you right now. Right now, on average, they're like I'm charging probably about 3K a month with performance and everything. So right now, I'm making 26K a month in rev and 23K a month in profit.
Okay, yeah, you could definitely be hiring.
Oh, you think
You
so?
said
Eh?
23K a month in profit.
Yeah.
Okay, and you have 8 clients, and what's the rev?
26,000, and then I'm paying him like 3 grand a month because he's pretty
Paying who?
new. Like my media buyer.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. I mean, then in that case, that's fine. I mean, you have plenty of room. You have plenty of
Right.
room to grow. You could
Right.
literally have that media buyer full time, and then you just end up adding on 8 clients. Once you do that, uh, you end up, I would raise their salary. If they're performing well, raise their salary, because these people are going to get trained up and they're going to get poached, or they're going to get bailed,
Here's the
or they're going to
problem though.
bail.
He's actually not that good. Like I literally like I could manage all these 8 clients easily. Like, and I don't know. I just have a very high standard with how it's managed, and
Yeah.
he just doesn't really. He's not really hardworking. He doesn't really take initiative. What happened was
Mm-hmm.
I basically had a really good interview process, and then I hired this amazing girl. She was so amazing, and she left after a week because she got poached by another agency.
No,
Basically, not
yeah.
really.
You're going to be a pecking nest in the early days. You're going to find badasses and they're going to get scooped up instantly, because they're going to
Yeah,
realize like there's nothing sexy about being at this like wicked ass, startup early days.
yeah,
So
yeah.
what it's going to come down to is, one, you're going to have to pay above the other agencies for juniors, like very low level count, individuals. And like, let's say you have that amazing girl, like you paying her. Where are you located?
Vancouver, Canada.
Okay. I don't know what the typical salaries are there, but like, here for like a lady that's like, coming in on to manage like media buying, most of them are getting paid like 38, 45K, right? A year.
Right, right,
Paying them 55K is like, would be an absolute blessing to them, right?
right.
Because then they're going to be able to cover their health. They're going to be able to cover, all the other insurance stuff and not have to worry
Yeah,
about it. And they're making more than probably most of their friends,
gotcha.
especially as like a first time position. That's going to keep them super happy and actually retain them. And so, like, if somebody comes to poach, they're going to have to offer a substantially higher amount. And they're going to realize, okay, well, for one, this person doesn't even have the qualities of a 80, thousand or 70,000 position yet. So that way it deflects the potential of them actually poaching at that point.
Interesting. Wow.
So I would definitely go on the higher side of like doing that, because then you can be at ease knowing that like they're happy and being on the actual team. And then uh, what you'll do then, once you have that amazing person, just keep them happy in that scenario. Like if you have somebody that's like not, taking initiative, I mean, it's not going to work out. You need somebody who's super energetic. I mean, like we literally like we'll fire people if they're not, super team oriented or wanting to grow or constantly wanting to find improvements or aren't willing to, really put in a lot of effort to scale up.
Interesting. I was gonna ask you about that. So what should I do with my current team member? Because I'm 4 months in. I know it's not like a long-term thing, but here's my thought process though, because right now I'm about to move to Toronto in May 1st, so a couple months, and then I'm gonna be there for a year, and then I'm coming back. So I'm not really in a position to maintain top talent. Say for instance, I got rid of him, I tried bringing on someone else who's like really good. Like, are they really gonna stay with me if I'm leaving and then I'm coming and then I'm promising to come back? Who knows if I even
What do
come
you mean
back? Like,
leaving?
I'm just relocating. Like I'm just moving over to Toronto. I'm in Vancouver right now in Canada, just
Yeah.
to kind of just mix it
And
up for a
what's
bit.
wrong with remote?
Do you think that would, yeah, I guess yeah, but basically my whole goal is to get everyone in house in an
You
office
think
by
anybody
like,
wants to go into an office just to sit with you? Not to take that
yeah,
personally.
yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, probably not the most ideal. Yeah,
Yeah, they're gonna get pretty. They're gonna have a high anxiety, because they're not gonna have anybody to go to. Like, you're the person that they need to be able to lean on, and you're the owner, and you're the one who hired them. So it's like so many different conflicts of interest. That's why like big companies have HR, right, and stuff like that. Now everybody makes fun of those things, but those are like, it's a department that's literally dedicated for somebody to lean on, so that way they can treat the relationships accordingly without having to feel like they can speak truthfully, right? So
right. I see what you mean.
I would even first look. I don't know what your goals are, but like, what would be a number that you're looking to achieve, or what's the ultimate goal for you? Because then I can just walk backwards from what needs to
Yeah,
happen from here.
what a question. Basically my whole goal, like I would just love this if I had like 10 to 15 staff in an office eventually and making like, let's just say like 1 million a year profit off the agency. I'd be like set. Like
A
I'd just be
million
so
a
happy.
year profit?
Is that like too
Um,
much to ask?
no.
Because right now I'm already making like pretty much like 300 grand run rate. All I have to do is like triple that. I just don't see how that's that crazy.
Well, your margins are gonna
Shrink.
very quickly.
Very quickly.
No, they're going to go down they're just going to drop very fast once you start hiring A players. So usually like $1 million a year profit agencies are doing substantially higher revenue numbers.
Right.
But let's go with that. So $1 million a year, because that's what you want. So you still have to get there somewhere. So $1 million a year profit. Right now, what are your margins again? Like, what's the percentage of profit?
Oh, it's probably like 85 to 90% profit margin.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So to get to $1 million a year profit, what's going to end up having to happen is what's your monthly rate that you're charging per client?
It's usually like 1500 US plus 10% of ad spend. But then now recently I've been trying out just a 15% return on ad spend. So it's literally just a profit sharing deal that I've been trying out because I just feel like I'd make way more money off that.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But I am also going to be opening up more platforms now rather than just Facebook and Instagram. I kind of want to try Google, TikTok, like Pinterest, wherever I see fit for each client.
Yeah. You're going to hit scalability issues, to be honest with you. You're going to have people. I mean, to do $1 million a year profit.
That's like 5 years down the road, though. It's not like I have to get there like next year or something like that.
Yeah.
Here's
the deal. I think if you want to do those numbers, what's going to have to happen is I'm going to go off of this based off of a 10 million a year business, because that's what I know how to grow is going past 10 million a year.
Wow.
Because
you're at 10 million a year right now?
We're not looking at, I don't worry too much about profits because it's one of those things that will come with time, and you can always optimize for efficiencies later, right? You can grow, and then you can, trim off all the unnecessary pieces that aren't making sense. Like, for instance, like we were looking at salaries and we were looking at performance. One of our highest paid media buyers had some of the lowest performance. That one media buyer could fund two other media buyers at the same exact, rate. And those other two, we were looking at in this example, were performing twice as better as that person. So literally fire one people and double up two, and then that opens up another avenue of another set of clients, which increases profit automatically.
Wait, so one quick question about firing, because do you just randomly fire them out of the blue? Because I was watching a YouTube video on firing.
In Texas, you're going to have to look at your laws. I can't tell you how that works. You're going to have to look at, speak with an accountant attorney for that, and do it accordingly with what your, local laws are.
Oh no, it wasn't meant. I didn't mean like an illegal. Just a way of feeling okay about it, I guess. Because what this guy was saying is like
document everything.
Document
employees
everything.
can always come back and say that it was, you wrongfully did something. You got to have, documented stuff just in case anything is to ever happen.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Interesting. So with this media buyer, when you found that out, you're like, oh shit, I got to get rid of this guy. How did you go ahead? It wasn't like
we found out. We kind of knew over like weeks and months, and we worked with them to improve it. It's just that at the end of the day, we would, poll some of our team members and realize that it was just a bad culture fit. Even though their performance was slightly adjusting, it really all came back to realizing like they just weren't a good culture fit.
Not how do you document that?
Everybody else. So no, you document the performance issues, but you can, also fire off of the things that you're hearing.
So performance issue, you just literally whip out a Google Doc and you'd be like, just write down the
track of it. Yeah, we have a performance tracker on all those things. They have to update a sheet with their metrics every day, and it keeps an entire timeline of updates of where the results are at
for each client.
Mm-hmm. And if they're putting it in and typing it in, it has their timestamp.
How do you even learn about all this stuff?
We have team members for that who manage all of that stuff.
But how do you even like learn to even do that?
You'll come up with ideas as you run into issues, or you'll end up innovating things when we always look for ways to improve certain processes. If there's a problem that's recurring, we'll look for a solution. And one of those things is like keeping track of those KPIs to make sure we always have stuff documented.
Mm,
So like these are pitfalls that you can watch out for, and learn from. I mean, there's so many things you can learn from others who've, ran into issues with in the past or failed from, and then just, totally skip that road altogether yourself. Save you a hell of a lot of
gotcha.
time and probably make way faster progress in 5 years. Um,
Gotcha.
but yeah, going back to the 10 million a year thing, look, people don't get to 10 million a year hiring uh, just media buyers, account coordinators, and people like that. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Because as soon as you pass 5 of these people, what's going to happen is you're going to be so damn busy, and you're going to, I don't know if you have hair, but you're probably going to be wanting to rip your hair out, because the amount of emails, amount of text messages, amount of fires, the amount of clients that are going to be stirring up so many issues in your business that you're literally either A, going to lose half of the business and shit's just going to hit the fan, or B, you're going to be like Elon Musk, like sleeping on the floor, crying and then getting up and trying to fix everything every single day. And it's going to be grueling as hell. And you're going to a lot of people get stuck right there, and then they taper back because they realize it was a bad idea. Here's the difference. Okay. You could easily do $1 million a year, profit 300K a year and so forth that way. All right. If you
Right.
go past that mark, this is where it gets complicated. And it could be 8 people. I mean, there's a breaking point depending on, your processes and everything and stuff like that. I mean, like some are more optimized than others.
Right.
But here's where it comes into play. What you have to do, instead of hiring and then having 5 direct reports, you hire team builders. I have 3 direct reports, and those people have direct reports. 3 people come to me. I answer, the 3 big problems that each of them, they're all team leaders. 3 different team leaders will come to me saying, hey, we have this problem, Chase. What do we do here? Something they couldn't figure out. I'll say, hey,
Mm,
we need to, I'll say, yep, confirmed, you're good to go on that. Or I'll be like, no, you need to do it this way, or change this, or think about it this way. And they'll go back to their team with 5 or 6 people under them, 3 to 5, or however many people on their team, it varies. And then they'll end up, working with them on how they're going to fix the problem. 3 reports
gotcha.
versus, if I look at each of those teams, I would be, at reports of 18 people coming to me all at once. It's unsustainable. Nobody can do that. Nobody can have 18
Yeah.
direct reports. You have to
Yeah.
have appointees. And
Yeah.
that's where you get layered, you start seeing layers form in your business. If you look at it this way, a general doesn't have every person in the army walk up to him to ask about which, tree, bush, or shield he should go hide behind.
Right.
He
I see what
has,
you mean.
the general has lieutenants, and then below the lieutenants are like sergeants, and then below the sergeants are, um, some form of officers that then man their, army battalions and so forth. There's layers, right? And all of them have direct reports that ultimately lead back to the ultimate decision maker, right?
Gotcha.
But that person at the top, he has like a board of people he speaks with, but that board runs the entire company. Elon Musk does not have all these businesses because he speaks to every fucking person in his company.
Yeah, not a chance.
Everybody wonders, how does he do it? How do you have so much time? He doesn't have so much time. He has the same amount of time as anybody else. The only difference is he has fewer, direct reports than anybody. And those people run the
Right.
companies. He just makes the hardest fucking decisions. You just have to make the hardest damn decisions in the company, the ones that absolutely suck that you hate to hear about. But it's 10 times easier to scale past 10 million, past 100 million, past, a billion a year from doing it that way. There's so many founders that get caught up in the mix of, doing the small micromanaging when they could appoint somebody and then manage that person who manages everybody. You'll scale so much
God.
faster that way.
Wow. Interesting. So just one last question. I know we just ran out of time. But basically, what would be the next step? Like, let's just say the next 3 hires that you'd recommend when I come back and I want to start building. First of all, I guess I'd have to get rid of this person that I have right now if they're still underperforming a year later. Or yeah, I guess you're even thinking I should just get rid of them now. Basically, what would you say would be the next 3 hires? So say, for instance, I swap out this media buyer with someone else who's hungry, does way better, they're remote, and then what would be the next step then?
Yeah, I know we're running, our time is pretty much up, but specifically
Yeah.
there, one of the things is another problem. See, the benefit here is that, when you have somebody who's gone through these things, you're going to multiply the amount of time it takes. Uh, or significantly less time it takes. But if you were to hire these 5 people, right, and I say you're going to feel all frazzled and maxed out already, how do you think you'll be able to hire somebody to then, come and fill your role? You're maxed out. You're stressed out. And you're going to make, likely a silly decision on bringing somebody in because you're going to be absolutely desperate at that point because shit's just going to be going haywire.
Yeah.
That what you need to do is just go ahead and appoint somebody to begin with, because look, the team's loyal to the person who's leading them. Okay. And if you're leading them and then somebody steps into your position, you think they're going to be loyal to some new leader that just pops in out of nowhere? That's why CEOs that get switched in companies, it's so hard for it to be a good culture fit. And it's either a make or break. And that's why they'll flip a CEO like within a couple months or even a year if it's not going right. Because like they're constantly switching hats, because they'll come in and like nobody's loyal to this new guy. They don't know who he is. There's been one leader leading them for all this time and it's been going great. And now they're switching to a different guy because he's moving, to another, part of the company or is moving up. It's not so effective. And it's hard for people to gain loyalty that way. And they'll usually bail around the same time some new person's coming in. And then you're like, fuck, this guy's already lost all my employees, when really that wasn't the issue.
Right. So you'd hire a team builder first, and then so a new media buyer, and then a team builder, and then like an account coordinator.
Look, they're not called team builders, but
oh,
yeah, that's not a role. Maybe it is. There's team builders. That's people who like train entire teams.
What do you call them as their job title?
That's what I'm just saying is just the simplest way of understanding it. But they have actual roles too, right? But like
they're like actual media buyer or something.
Yeah, they could be. That could be one scenario. It could be an actual media buyer who's like the best media buyer, but leads all of the junior media buyers. That's one case.
Gotcha.
You could have an account manager that worked at a large agency and then has all these account coordinators who just came out of college with, who know how to have extremely, appropriate grammar and are very well spoken because they've done all these presentations in class. And then that account manager says, hey, my experience from the agency, here's how it's approached. So you just got to get somebody with, at your level, it's very easy. You could find people who have really high, like good skill levels at other companies, bring those in, and then they're automatically become like, hey, you're going to run this department or you're going to be the one that builds this team.
Gotcha. Interesting.
And that's how you do it. That's where the risk comes in, because you're not going to get those people at a low cost. It just won't happen. So that's where you're going to run into you're going to have to put some risk out, spend the money, but trust in the fact that this is going to turn and develop into a team.
Right. And it's going to be a huge asset for years to come.
Yeah. Because if you're sick or get, hit by a truck, heaven forbid it doesn't happen, at least that way you're not going to be stressed out in a, in a stretcher or whenever you're, in your bed coughing out your lungs, because you know that your team, your team leaders are able to do everything. And like these big problems they run into are usually the big problems that aren't, one day fixables. It's usually bigger strategy things that take time.
Right.
Because they're handling the minor shit day to day.
Gotcha.
Like they'll come to you with the crucial problems, the big stuff.
Right. And then that saves you a hell of a lot of time.
Yeah. And those are going to be hard decisions because they're going to be things that that could potentially change how your company's direction is going. It's going to be those types of big things, or they're going to be big ideas and you have to be willing to jump in or jump out.
Right. Makes sense. All right. We're over time here. I don't want to take up too much more of your time, but wow, that was very, very valuable. Thank you so much, Chase, for all the info. Don't be surprised if you see me booking in again for another question call.
Yeah, no worries. If you do it through the class, you'll end up having 2 of these calls a week.